everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to our Introducing the New Mobile App Experience webinar. We're going to be going over our new mobile app that's coming out for RedTeam Flex. So let's go ahead and jump in. My name is Sarah Nyheisel. I'm our Senior Enablement here at RedTeam. I've been working here for about 5.5 years, and I've done a lot of training and implementation on the Flex product. So you may know me from your onboardings. I always like to have my Are You in the Right Room slide here. So this webinar is for RedTeam Flex, which is kind of our most configurable construction management software, our flagship platform. We are not presenting on RedTeam Go today. So if you're a user of RedTeam Go, this is not the right webinar for you. This mobile app is going to pair only with the RedTeam Flex platform. Our agenda today, we're going to go over the new app experience in general, give you a little idea of what we're trying to do here and what we're changing. And then we'll go into how some key features have changed. We'll talk about daily reports, in-app previews and markups, as well as time and expense features. And then we'll, of course, save some time at the end for Q&A. We are going to kind of do a hybrid today between some slides and some live demo. So I'll give you our slide deck here. We'll walk through it, and then I will actually switch over to my mobile device and show you the new mobile app and give you a tour. If you have any questions along the way, please make sure you drop those in the Q&A. I'm happy to answer those as we go. And if I don't get to you before the end, we'll have some time at the end where I'll make sure all questions get answered. So the first thing we're going to look at here is just what is the new mobile app and how has it changed? It is all the features you know and love with a brand new interface. It's really just our attempt to make the app more user-friendly and intuitive for you. So we know that your field teams are doing a lot of these things on the job site, and we just want to make it simpler and easier to navigate. Hopefully less clicks. You'll notice one big change that we'll see as we walk through it today is that there is no more home screen. Instead of having that home screen with the scan location option and the ability to add photos, we're opting to take you straight into the projects menu. So what you're seeing here in the screenshot is where you're going to land as soon as you log into the app. We'll have the projects menu, the time, and the expenses menus along the bottom, as you're familiar with. We are just eliminating that home screen in favor of allowing you to add photos directly within the applicable menus. So just making it a little bit more clear where those photos are going. Daily reports is probably the biggest change you're going to see. We have changed the name from progress report to daily reports, just in an effort to make that more similar to what most of our clients are calling these so that your team is recognizing that button more easily. It's a more efficient interface. So you're going to be able to just click on the word daily report, and then from a drop-down menu, you're going to be able to add all the parts and pieces in the same interface. So we can go ahead and grab observations, we can take photos, add weather. We are changing the census word into attendance. So if you're familiar with that census feature where we're logging who's on site today and how many hours they spent, that is now going to be called attendance, just so it's easier to locate. And you're going to notice that it's easier to add multiple companies at once. We can commit it just as we could before from here in the app, and we're going to be able to view that PDF preview just as you remember. The biggest difference here with our in-app previews is that we're no longer going to kick you over into a web browser. So you're going to be able to see everything you need without leaving the app. As you click on a PDF preview of your daily log, your plans, your RFIs, anything like that, it's going to pop open in the app. The screenshots you're seeing right here, the one on the left, is what you're going to see. You'll just click that check mark to exit out of a preview, and you're going to have the ability to see it right there in the app. The biggest advantage to this, I think, is the schedule. So if you're using the Gantt schedule currently, you may know that opening it on a phone can be difficult to navigate because it would not rotate horizontally. We're doing that automatically for you. So if you're opening it on a phone, we're rotating it horizontal for you without even asking so that it's much easier. We'll show it to you today. You're going to have a lot more visibility on a smaller mobile device. And then lastly, we're adding thumbnail views of our plans in the mobile app. So it's similar to what you'll see if you use Field Lens, if you've used that. If not, this will be your first look at this kind of square thumbnail tile view. You can still navigate to the list view, but it's going to allow you to have a little bit more kind of visual way of recognizing which sheet you want to open. And markups are going to remain the same in terms of what tools you have available, but it's going to be very easy to click and share those in any way that you'd like. So as you tap on a thumbnail tile or a file in the list view, you're going to be able to access the same markup tools you're used to. The difference is that we are just going to have a standard share icon in here. So you make your annotations, and you can see this little box with the arrow there. I think everybody's, for the most part, familiar with that share icon. You see it all over the place these days. As you click on that, you're going to be able to send your marked up copy in any way that makes sense to you. You can send it as a PDF or an image file. You're going to be able to email that, text it to someone, airdrop it, whatever works best for you. Or you can simply download it if you want to attach it to an RFI within the mobile app. But the key to remember here is that just like the old app, these are all markup and attach features. We don't have red line markups within the mobile app. That's going to be accessible only from the web version. So what that means is any markups I make, if I'm not choosing to share or download that copy, they are going to disappear as I exit the preview. They're not going to become a permanent part of that current sheet. Time and expenses here. These functionalities are largely the same. You're just going to see a few small tweaks. So the page will look familiar. You shouldn't have any difficulty navigating it if you've used it before. The differences that I wanted to point out is, one, new entries for time and expenses are going to default to project expenses and project or direct time. That's really nice. If you've been using these features before, you know that it kind of defaulted to overhead, and any entries you made were defaulted to a point where they would not code to a project budget, which could be confusing for folks. So now as you're going in, you'll see today, it's going to default to that direct time or project expense that will code directly to a project budget, just because that's what most of our clients are using more often than overhead entries. We've also got a couple of terminology changes for buttons, so I just wanted to point those out. Submit for approval is going to replace the commit timesheet button. It's the same function. We're just changing some terminology there to hopefully make it a little simpler to understand. You will only see that button if you have permission to commit timesheets. Whereas if you're someone who doesn't, that button won't be there at all. You'll just fill out your timesheet and your supervisor is going to see it and commit it from the web version. So that submit for approval is the same thing as your older commit button. And then you'll also notice the submit option as we go through expenses today. That is replacing the commit expenses option versus saving as a draft. So we'll point those out as well. But you'll just see submit replacing the word commit in the time and expenses pages. Now, I think that's all we have in terms of slides, right? I just want to point out when this is coming and how we can access it before we get into our live demo. So you will be seeing a banner from us shortly, hopefully within the next few business days. We're simply waiting on App Store approval. So our app is ready to launch. We just need Apple and Android to tell us, yes, you're approved to put those out in our store. So we're going to be publishing those here very, very soon. And as soon as we do, we'll have an in-app banner that's going to pop up as soon as you log into your web version of Flex, which means your office users are probably going to see it first because they're the ones that are in the web version more often. From that banner, you're going to be able to click to go to a page with a QR code and download the app. Now, you don't have to access it through the banner. You can simply search for RedTeam Mobile. We are changing the name. It used to be RedTeam Flex. The new app you're looking for is RedTeam Mobile. It's going to be a gray background with a red R, that RedTeam R that you see up in the left-hand corner here. And you're going to be able to download and test it out. You can maintain your older app. If you're worried about whether or not you'll like the new version, you can have both apps on your device. You can test the new one out and still retain access to the old version. We want your feedback. This beta period is all about gathering feedback directly from teams on the job site. So please make sure that as you see that banner, you're opting to download and you're getting your field teams involved. Either send them that QR code or have them search that mobile app, RedTeam Mobile, in their app store as soon as we have it available for you. So I'm going to stop sharing here and I'm going to start sharing from my phone. just so that I can show you around. And I'll double check here before we get started whether we have any questions in our Q&A. Okay, hopefully you can all see my screen here. So before I jump into the app, I do want to show you the difference between the old and new. So what you're seeing in the center of this little work folder here is RedTeam Flex. That's the old app. That's the legacy app that you probably already have. The one right below it with the gray background and the red R, that's RedTeam Mobile. That's the new app. And we are going to be supporting both of these for that length of time during the beta testing. So we'll have an opt-in period of beta testing where you'll be able to use both apps. You can still continue to download the old app from the App Store if you need, but we'll really be collecting feedback and fine-tuning this new app for you. Once we reach a point where we're ready to discontinue the old app, it will first be unpublished from stores, but you'll still be able to continue using it for a period of time if you already have it. And then we'll make an announcement to you and your admins before we actually discontinue all support for the old app. So it'll be a nice gradual process. No need to worry about losing any functionality there or being forced to shift over too quickly. So let's go ahead and open up the new app. I'm already logged in. You're just going to get a login to RedTeam button, and that's going to allow you to put in your unified login account information. Once you're in, you will be able to select a project from the dropdown. Now, before we do that, I am going to show you our menu in the top right, because I think it's important to note if you are a user who has multiple Flex databases linked to your unified login, you can come up here to the My Company section and toggle between your databases. So if you have multiple entities on different databases, you can switch between them here with your one unified login. You'll also notice that you can chat with RedTeam right here. Hopefully you're used to that in the old app. Same spot to reach out to our chat support here, and you've got your logout at the bottom. As we exit out of this, we can go ahead and pick any project we want from the drop down at the top center. We've made this a little bit easier in order to favorite and unfavorite projects. So you notice you've got a search at the top. You can search for any project by name or number. You've got your list of favorites here, recent projects below that, and then all projects in numerical order here after that. So we can go ahead and tap on any project to select it, but we can also tap on the star to the right-hand side. So I'm going to look at this Miami Seaquarium in my recents. If I tap that star, it pops up into the favorite section. If I tap the yellow star again, it drops back down. So I can add and remove items from my favorites list really quickly and easily. We tap on the project we want, and then we're here on the projects menu. Again, notice there's no home screen. So you've just got the three menus at the bottom: projects, time, and expenses. Those same three tabs you're used to. But most of what we're doing is going to start right here on the projects menu. So we're not going to go through every single tile on here. I know most of these are familiar to you. They're just laid out a little bit different. We're going to go through a few key pieces that have undergone a bit of change so that you're familiar with how those changes have been applied. So we're going to hit daily report first. As we tap in here, we're going to be brought directly to a record of today's daily report. We have the ability with the arrows next to the word today. I can toggle back. You can see I filled one out yesterday. And if I keep going back, it'll show me the last report before that, right? Whether I filled it out daily or not, it's going to just show me just reports in temporal order. And then we can come back to today. To add new items, we're simply going to hit the new icon at the bottom right, the little blue plus button there. And here's where all pieces of the report are housed. We're going to select from the drop down. Now, yours may look a little bit different than this, depending on what your observations fields are. So those four items at the bottom, photos, weather, attendance, and equipment, are all going to be standard. Again, attendance is replacing the word census, but it's the same feature. And everything above that, those are my observations or comments boxes. As you join with us and you start with Flex, we give you a default list of observations that we think are pretty standard for folks, but your administrators are able to customize those within the web version. So you may see different comments boxes up in the top half here. But we're going to tap on general comments. And if it's a comments field or an observation field, I can go ahead and type in whatever I need to. We'll put in a rain delay. Notice I can add attachments here, which is something we didn't see with the old observation fields. I can click the camera to take a photo or the image icon to upload photos from my gallery. And then we can go ahead and save. And that gets added to the list right here, rain delay 1 hour. Now, if I ever need to, as long as this report is still in draft, I can tap on that item and I can edit here, and then I can delete. You see that delete button at the bottom if we'd like. We're just going to hit cancel to exit out. We're going to show you a couple other pieces to add. We're going to hit the new icon again. And from the type, I'm going to select photos. This is the only place we're able to add photos to the daily report now. In the absence of the home screen, this is the only place we're going to come and add those. And hopefully that makes things a little bit simpler to understand so that your team understands, right? If I'm uploading photos here, they are going directly into the daily report. So we're going to just take a photo here, the camera icon, get our little mouse pad there. We click use photo, and then we're going to see it uploaded here. If I had added 5 or 10 photos, right, I can hit the camera icon again to take more pictures if I want, or I can source from my gallery. But as I see all my little thumbnails appear here, you'll see that red message up top, photo descriptions are required. Tap each photo to add a description. Now, this is a setting that you can turn off on a project by project basis. So if your company is not requiring descriptions, you won't see this message and you can just save. If you are requiring descriptions for all of your photos, you'll need to tap on each thumbnail, come in here and add your description, and then you can hit Save Photos in the top right-hand corner. Once we've saved a description for all photos, you see that message disappears and the Save button becomes available. So I can go ahead and tap there to save. And then we're going to add one more piece. I do want to show you the attendance feature. We're going to hit the new icon again. That attendance or census option right here is a little bit different. It's much more streamlined. So we're going to go ahead and select companies, and we can see a list of all companies on the team members list for this project. And I can go ahead and choose which ones were on site today. I can choose as many as I want and hit add. And then it's as simple as just coming in and adding the number of workers, the number of hours, and the description. I can also choose if they were in yesterday's report. Notice the copy yesterday's data, right? So if you got your SSDD situation going on, you just go ahead and copy it over and you see that this comes through. They were on site again today. I can update my notes or hours as needed. Or if they were doing something different, I can make a change here. And then once I've got all of these filled out, we simply hit save. Add our description here. And as we tap out of that text box, we can then hit the save button at the bottom. Once we save, you can see that for companies entry. If I need to add more or make changes, I can simply tap on it to bring back up all of this. I can delete the entire entry, or I can add more companies at the top by hitting select companies. So that's all there is to creating your daily report. You'll notice up at the top, if you have the right permissions, you've got that black commit daily report button. So when you're finished, you can commit it at the end of the day and lock it in. No more changes. It's ready to be shared if needed. View preview is opening that same PDF that you're used to. It's just opening it in app, right? So I'm not being kicked over to a web browser. I can see my PDF view of my daily report. You've got the little speech bubbles at the top. That's your collaborative console where you can engage with other folks who are involved in this report. And if we hit the ellipses there, we can print this, or we can view our list of collaborators who have access to the report. We can then go ahead and hit the check mark in the top left corner. We're ready to move out of that preview. And the last thing I want to show you here before we go back to the main projects menu is the top right-hand corner. You see that little list menu. So we tap on that. That brings us over to the historical record of all our daily reports, just like we're used to in the old app. So we can see them all laid out by week and in numerical order. So we can go ahead and open up any of the PDF copies of these that we'd like. And when we're ready to move back to today's report, we can hit that little menu in the top right-hand corner again and pop right back over. The back arrow in the top left brings us back out to the main project menu. From here, we're also going to take a look at plans. So I'm going to tap on the plans icon just because there is a bit of a difference there. Notice we have the ability now to view plans grouped by discipline or to view all plans regardless of discipline. We also have a recently viewed section down here below. So if I've opened plans recently, I'll see them previewed down below. If we tap on discipline here, we can then view the thumbnails. If I don't like this thumbnail view, we do have the traditional list view. So up in the top left, we can go from those boxes over to the list, and we've got our familiar list view here. But that thumbnail tile does show the same information, just a little bit of a preview of the sheet itself. So you've got the name, number, discipline, days since last updated, and you've got your make available offline. So if you tap that, you're simply downloading these plans to your device so that even if you don't have service, you can access that plan. You've got a search bar up at the top. If we hit the magnifying glass, we can search by sheet name or number. And then if we tap into any plan here, we have the ability to make markups or simply preview. So I can zoom in and look around. I can hit the pencil at the top there to access my markup tools. And then if I long press on any of these tools, I can see the drop-down list of options. So we can choose what we want, choose our color, and then we can make our markups. And as we make a markup, notice you've got an undo and redo button up there next to the X at the top. You've got the X to leave this preview or leave the markups function. But if I do leave, all my markups are not going to be saved. They will disappear because this is a markup and attach feature. We do have the share button there though. We can tap that little box with the arrow in it, and it's going to allow me to share as either a PDF or an image. And I can choose how I'd like the annotations to be handled, whether I want those flattened or embedded. And then as I hit share, I'm going to have the ability to share that out in any way that you're used to on your device. You can email, you can text, you can airdrop, whatever works best for you. If you want to save a copy to your files and then add that to an RFI later, you can. So from here, we're going to hit the X to back out of the markups and the back arrow in the top left to come back to the plans menu. From here, we'll move all the way back out a couple of times to the projects menu. The last two things we're going to look at here before we talk about offline settings is the schedule. This just needs a brief look. I just want to show you how much better this is. This is one of my favorite changes we've made. So this is your latest schedule update, the latest published schedule from the web version. When we hit view, it's going to automatically shift into a horizontal format where we can go ahead and drag this bar a lot more easily. And we can scroll back and forth, up and down. You can see a lot more easily. Because if you remember, if you were using it in the old version, you had that vertical view and this little white bar between the task list and the Gantt schedule was very difficult to move around because it was so far on the edge of the screen. So we've hopefully solved a piece of annoyance there for folks who are using their schedule routinely in the mobile app. As we move back here, the last tile I want to look at is punch lists, just to show you that we've changed a little terminology here. We are calling it punch lists, but really this is requests for correction of all types. So these are still organized by location. If you have locations built out for your work site, we can filter them in a number of ways. You see all your filters up top. So we've got scope, who's responsible, the responsible company, what location within the work site, and then type. Type is where you're going to see that this will include punch, safety, warranty, and quality items. Those are our 4 default types, along with any custom types that your company has built out within your database. So you'll have the ability to see all of those, even though it is titled punch lists. And then we can also sort things by workflow, so you can choose exactly what statuses you want to see here. Other than that, these are largely the same, and we will be putting out some more detailed videos for you on how to handle those items. So I think the rest of these tiles remain pretty much unchanged. You'll see a little bit of difference in terms of appearance, but the functionality is the same. And I don't think we need to walk through the details of how to use them because it should feel pretty familiar. The last thing I want to show you before we do time and expenses is the offline ready feature down at the bottom. That's the same as the offline settings button you're used to. When we tap on this, you get an option to toggle it on, and it's going to let you know what exactly you're doing. So when this is on, your project records are saved to your device. You can create and edit things like daily logs, action items, RFIs, requests for correction without a connection. You want to turn this on before you head to a site with limited connectivity, and then you'll turn it off again after you leave the site, because until you turn it off, all those things you've been doing are not going to sync to the server. They're not going to show up for any other users who are engaged in your project. So we want to make sure we're utilizing this and then turning it off when we're ready to sync all of our items back to the server. Notice plans down here is listed as optionally saved. When I toggle this on, it's going to ask me, would you like to download all plans for this project or choose just some? If you don't want to download any plans, you can hit skip for now. It'll let you know that project data is downloaded. And then if you need to view this, you can come up top to that menu in the top right-hand corner. You've got a manage storage option here. So if you've got multiple projects with this turned on, you'll be able to see a list of all your projects that are in offline mode. You can toggle it off from here, and you can see the amount of storage that you're utilizing in terms of offline data cache and any downloaded plans. So we can see that from here as well, and then we just tap the back arrow to come back out. So that's the projects menu. I'm not seeing any questions in the Q&A at the moment. So the last thing we're going to look at here is just a preview of time and expenses. So at the bottom, we're going to hit the time menu in the bottom center. This should look almost identical to what you're used to. The only difference is that submit for approval terminology instead of commit timesheet. And as we tap on a day to add time, I did want to point out we are defaulting to direct time instead of indirect. That means we're automatically ready to code this time to a project budget, versus if we toggle to indirect, we get to pick an overhead category such as drive time, office time, or PTO that isn't going to code to a project budget. But here, we're going to have that ability, just like before, to select a project that I have a labor authorization for, or if I have permission, create a new labor authorization. If I'm creating a new one, I'm going to have to choose my project, and then it's going to allow me to fill in all the key details. I do want to point out this working as is a change in terminology. That used to say labor category. So if you are a company that's using labor categories to job cost for your employees, they'll want to choose the correct labor category from there. That's, for example, you've bucketed all your superintendents into a single job costing rate. They would want to choose. They'll have their default populate, and then if they need to change it, they have a drop down here to pick from. But that working as is the replacement for labor categories. Other than that, timesheet entries are the same. So we're going to pop over and look at expenses to finish up here. This page looks the same, right? We see all of our expenses listed by time frame, and then we can sort them by, or filter them, excuse me, by status as well if we prefer. If we come back to all, we can see all of them. And then we're going to hit the new icon in the bottom right-hand corner to create a new expense. Again, I want you to notice that this is defaulted to project expenses because that's by far more common versus overhead, which is just going to allow us to select a category of, office supplies or something that, or fuel, right, that might not code to a particular project budget. But projects here, we have made a change to this expense authorization. So it says none, create one for me. Instead of add new, just makes things a little easier to understand. If you do have any existing authorizations, it's going to show the title of that authorization and the amount of money you have remaining available. Once you pick your project, it's then allowing you to fill out all the key details. You do have the ability to add photos or choose photos from your gallery here. So that's where we would add that photo of our receipt. And then the two buttons down here that you want to be aware of the difference. Save expense is saving this as a draft, meaning I might need to make edits to it. I'm not ready for it to be reviewed yet. Submit means go ahead and commit this expense. If we need to route it through approvers, we can then do that. We can start the routing process from the web version, but it will be committed and it will hit the project budget as we hit the submit button. So that's permissions dependent, whether your employees will see that button or not. But that's all there is to it. So anything we didn't go over today is largely going to function identically to what you're used to. But we certainly want you to hop in, download this as soon as you see it available, as soon as that banner comes out, hopefully tomorrow or Monday. And then let us know what you think. That's the key piece here, right? We want to hear your feedback because we want to make sure that this app is as fine-tuned and efficient as possible for you before it becomes our new permanent app. But I'll hang around here for a moment in case there's any questions. Otherwise, thank you all so much for coming. We hope you enjoy the new mobile app.